Greetings and welcome. This is PsychicMediumRoberto, and I truly hope you're doing well. I'm guided by spirit, and I feel the aura of golden light around me at the moment. I've been meditating on this case, if you watch in real time, since the father's passing. And you'll know, unfortunately, I had to take ended up being 9 days leave. But tinkering in the background, which brings us to Hannah's third episode, A Tale of Two Cities and the Castle. And I believe this actual picture was taken in California earlier this year, I believe. So let's get rid of the laundry. Trigger warning: the subject matters of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. So Hannah Kobayashi, of course, many of us are familiar with the case. Initially started November the 8th to November the 11th. But since then, there's of course been the CCT. There's since been this November the 11th or 12th. Actually, that's November the 12th. November the 12th, around about 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., the current narrative: buying a bus ticket to Mexico, or at least pre-Mexico, walks across, allegedly, according to LAPD. I got a story for you as well. LAPD. Is now allegedly seen walking into Mexico. Family, ourselves, the rest of the caring world about Hannah's case has still not seen that footage. There's something interesting actually about this photograph with the purchase of the Greyhound ticket here. Whether it's the ground ticket or not, or whatever it is, but and I didn't put the circle there just for record purposes. I did not put that circle there. That's been comped by someone else, that has been flaunted in the media. But we'll get to the story in a minute. But just to give a little kind of, it might be a small thing. Look, on a realistic point of view, there are still some very unanswered questions that has taken place here. Least to say, the passing of the father. And we are going to look at LAPD's numbers, as well as when the announcement was made. And I've got an energy flow sequence beneath that, just so we get a deeper reading on the circumstance around the announcement, when they have now declared as a voluntary missing person. Reminds me of a previous case that I covered. The concept of voluntarily disappearing, for whatever reason, it's almost like a conflict in itself, right? So we're going to have a look at that, and then just do a tie-in with the event 11, 12, 13 November. November the 12th is when she allegedly now buys this ticket to Mexico. But to get going, I've got Hannah's date of birth here. So I'm not going to get personal. If the family is watching, my heart goes out to you. I'm going to not get personal about her date of birth and her 369, right? What I'm going to do is based on the current narrative as we know it. She allegedly going to go visit her aunt in New York via LAX from Hawaii. Now, then she gets spotted at a LeBron James event, daytime event by all accounts by the CCTV footage we saw. Then we get a ping on the 11th, which is the Monday, back at LAX. And then subsequently now the latest information that on November the 12th, she purchased a ticket to leave the country. And as far as the LAPD is concerned, case closed, they've done their due diligence. The one thing that did bother me about just to get off my chest now, the LAPD announcement. I did mention it, right? I mean, they referred to her as Kobayashi at one point in that bugs me. And not even a mention about the father until that puppet, whatever, was asked by a journalist, oh, by the way, did you forget that Ryan actually allegedly took his own life while looking for his daughter? So let's just see, as far as the narrative and what we know in her numbers. Would she, for example, the main question that I've been feeling as the main question is, does Hannah have the capacity to cut off her family within a whim and go disappear as we know the narrative today? There is definitely evidence that she is very capable of cutting off her life from the rest of the world, yes. And we see it in the numbers 5813, 4913, 4, and in her +9, the 6713, 4. Very, in my opinion, capable of switching off and going. Now, that's not to say this is what happened. I'm saying she has the propensity. It exists. Now, where it's positioned, which is an outcome number, is fairly influential, of course. But if you want to get the whole unit working as one, in other words, all significant numbers in her date of birth, if they all work together or not, what would be the actual outcome in this scenario if we had to place, let's say, a robot with her characteristics in the story? The 22 fours that we see here, that is a very big thinker. She's got big numbers here. Let me tell you something. Hannah is no slouch whatsoever. She has got very dominant numbers here and very big operational numbers with all these 10 ones. She's more than capable of doing what we are now confronted with. But I have a slight problem with this. We'll go deeper. I believe now it's not an excuse. Let me just explain something here, and I'll go to the original chart from EP1. Let me explain myself quickly. I looked at it on a linear level when we did the show. It's not to say I'm making excuses. What I'm saying is, whatever has taken place and whatever's happened in this story, it's got to exist in the real as well. So if I'm not seeing it in the real, it doesn't make any sense then, does it? So I looked at it on that aspect level, let's say, for example. But now, when I started doing the 369 on Hannah, Now, I've done two versions here. Hannah arrives at LAX November 8. 369 now. I've charted that out. Hannah, November 12, allegedly purchasing a ticket. I've done a 369. In the second episode, which focused on Ryan's passing, I had done a 369 on the day, but not the day before and the day, but not the day after. When I completed Hannah's charts, the 369s, I believe I found a fingerprint. A fingerprint on Hannah's case matches a fingerprint on the father's case. And this is what I find alarming. The November the 24th, Ryan's day, we see a 17-8 plus 8. And ironically, today I'm recording this December the 5th. It's now well into 3 p.m., almost 3:30 p.m. already now. So I would have started at about 3:20ish. We've got a 17-8 plus 8. Now also as outcome numbers 34-7, 25-7, 16-7, 7. I recall in Ryan's episode I mentioned I'm not liking these sevens. Now we go to Hannah's arrival day. Arrives at LAX in the +6, which is actually alarming, to say the least. And let me tell you why. The difference between intention is I'm going to walk out my place today. I'm going to go do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. But as we know, once we leave our own space, we interact with other human beings. We interact with other energies, other things start happening. So 6 plus 6 gives us the action. What is the physical or what is the action going on in that moment when Hannah is arriving in the blind, we can say, hidden. But we're going to get information. So for me, when you look at a +6, it's almost the actuality. Now, the combination of the intention plus what actually happened gives us the outcome, where all is revealed. In Hannah's +6, when she arrives, now this is before the father even knows she's going to go missing. The father is still in Hawaii. I don't know if he stays in Maui or where. The day she arrives, we've noted in previous episodes these triple eights, the too many eights. But we see in her arrival the day after. So the day after is where she sends messages, November the 9th, about money issues, identity. 10-1 is money, 1 is identity as well. 10-1 money issues. Now on that particular day, 17-8 plus 8, 34-7, 25-7, 16-7, 7. And the reason why it's even more important is because there's a conflict that exists here. How can her conflict when nothing's even happened here? As far as we know, right? She's in a bit of distress because now she's missed the flight. It's the next day. But what are the chances reflecting in the father? Now, one can argue the father, the reason why he did this was because of 1, 2, 3. All right, that's plausible. It is plausible. But let's go a bit deeper. Hannah arrives in LAX November the 8th. The very next day, now this is the day, and I know I've just said it, but just to recap quick, she's in distress. They've taken my identity, they, according to text. Now, we can also imagine that this text might be also a red herring, right? But let's see what the numbers say. So if we go into the +9, Why on God's green earth would there be this level of operation around this person? 3710-1. Now, you'll recall when she arrives on November the 8th, she arrives in a 1910-1. She arrives in the middle of an operation here. And one can say, and we'll conclude this later in the episode, but I'll just say the feeling, there's good sense to believe she may have been aware of her next step, let's say. I'm sure I'm saying we can say something went wrong, because when you have all of these 8s out of place, there's the conflict here, 11-2, 11-2. There's the conflict here, 17-8-8. And there's big operation numbers around here. Whatever she was anticipating has not gone to plan. And I still believe in agreement, and I have no connection to this case whatsoever. I'm like the furthest point away, well, in the middle. No attachment to this case whatsoever, but there's something very wrong here. We'll note in the first reading, I'm indicated November 12th is the problem day. Now it has become the day she enters Mexico. Now, if we go along this day, and let me just check her chart here. I'll keep coming back to these previous slides, but I'm just going to go with the flow. Oh yes, that's what I did. Right. This actually now brings in the LAPD announcement scenario. So I did a 72-hour on the LAPD announcement. Oops. Interestingly, in their 72-hour scan, they also reveal a conflict. 12-3-3. Why? Okay, so let's first say, what is the conflict? Now, if we did a +9 on this day, it will reveal that there's actually a 12-3 conflict, which speaks about community, groupings. We got 14-5 here, smacks a little bit of racial tinge to it as well. I must say, I did find, I've never been a policeman. I respect their work. They're 99.8% are good cops, and I'm now being a bit generous, but they are rotten apples. And I'm not saying the guy that was talking is a rotten apple, but there was no empathy coming out of that man's mouth. As rigid and as process-driven as, yes, even when I studied psychology, we can't get emotionally involved or attached, blah, 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 fish cakes. But come on, you got the whole nation at the noses at their mobile phones, laptops, computers, whatever, TV screens, and you don't even give a mention or a touch of empathy. So let's see why there's a conflict. So maybe we can find the answer with LAPD's date of birth. So who are the LAPD? And you can Google. There's even my timestamp. I've been working on this since I've been off air or off channel. Haven't uploaded for a while. So LAPD, born December 13, 1869. 12-3, 13-4, 24-6. The combination of the day and the month gives us the 16-7 with the hidden 25-7. While I'm giving you the numbers, I'm also generating information internally. I'll give numbers as well as the explanations as I go. So with all these fours, very prominent male energy, very strong male energy, particularly the 40 outcome 4, very dominant male, almost like the Boston guys. Now, and let me just say 16.7, yeah, it is a policing number. It's not, in my opinion, it's not the ideal number, but certainly is a policing number 7. The problem is when you've got a 6 here for, in combination with what I'm about to say next can be problematic. And what I'm going to say next is, when you've got a 31.4, now let's be clear. 22.4, for example, can mean evidence, right? The problem is when you have a 31.4 means there is a propensity to manipulate the evidence. Does that make sense? So in other words, if we zoom in here quickly, if we look at the numbers literally, 31, so 3 plus 1 gives us the 4. 3 is a bigger number than 1, right? So why is there a reduction? And if we're looking at it from an evidence point of view, so the community, let's say 3 can also represent community. They have all the information. But who's ever taking that information is only keeping what they want, that single piece, instead of the whole lot, 22.4. Does that make sense? So there's a reduction. And the 1 is about the individual selfishness. So unfortunately, they do have the propensity to meddle with evidence. I do not know what lawsuits were ever brought around for LAPD. I don't have that information. I've never looked at it, but yeah. Now, another concerning thing is this 49.13.4. Now, in the world of pedophilia, just got to measure tone here. 49.13.4. Now, 13.4 speaks about children. And let's be clear, 49.13.4 doesn't speak about incarceration or arrest. That number is the 12.3. 12.3 is arrest, in custody, 12.3. 13.4 is very clear. 13.4, in my opinion, and in this case, speaks about children. The problem with having a 49.13.4, like we see with Disney and all those motherfuckers, is the propensity to go outside the law for filthy, illegal, heinous pleasures that involve, unfortunately, minors, not teenagers, minors. I'm not liking 49.13.4 there for a police department. So let me just explain something. Why am I overreacting with 49.13.4 or just a standard 13.4? What is the difference? The difference here is 4, male. One could even say imagines, 9, the idea. But 9 also brings around the death and the ending of children. So 13.4 is like, it's very aggressive. 49.13.4 is a very aggressive number. It might seem soft to the eye. What could be wrong with the 49134, right? it would be very unfortunate to do a 369 on these guys. So they've already got a 49, 13, 4. Let's do a 9 plus 9. That would give us a 58. Ooh, hold on. A 58. Oh my God. 58, 13. Ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm just saying, we are all born with our numbers. We all have choice in the main. Let's just say in general we have choice in the main. But the propensity is there if certain conditions are matched. And when you have a plus 9, or when we look in the plus 9 and we get a 58, 13. Now, in the physical, so in the physical and partly behavioral, 5 is humans behaving badly. 8, generally very violent. 8 is very violent on the body. So one could even argue some torturing. Just as a matter of interest, so have a look here. The 40 outcome 4 with these, I'm not saying each, there's bad apples in every cart, right? But if we do a plus 6 here, and I've just been shown a scene that would come out of, remember the movie number 8mm, and the image that I received is what do you call it? Those dominatrix guys that wear the leather over their heads and the leather strappings and the whips. I was just shown that image. In the plus 6 of 40 outcome 4, we get, look what we get, 46, 10, 1. This is unfortunately, now the lens is flipped to the dark side, right? Eh? This is when the LAPD are at their worst. And the evil deeds, allegedly, or whatever. 46, 10, 1. That is next level human trafficking. Because, and I'm just looking for it now, I mentioned that 37, 10, 1, eh? On her arrival, beg your pardon. Catching up with myself as well. Some of the days were a bit hazy because maybe it was a good thing that medication can be very strong. 37, 10, 1 is in play when she is the next day in distress. 37, 10, 1. The next level, 37, 10, 1, is 46, 10, 1. And they've got it in their plus 6. Oh, someone's just alerted me that I need to now bring in the next piece of information. And we're going to come back. They got similar numbers, and we can already see Dodge numbers there for LAPD, right? For Hannah's arrival, I've been trying to psychically get a read on this situation. So I received a message when I've been trying to look for her. Beg your pardon for going on tangents. It's the castle was given to me in spirit. Give me just something. Because for whatever reason, psychically, yes, I'm getting impressions and feelings and the combination of number sequences. I was given the castle a significance, I believe. Now, when I did Google searches, And I must just say, I did also look at the bus routes. Effectively, Hannah, wherever she was spotted, matches these bus routes here. So there's also a sense that she knows what she was doing here. What I'm going to show you right here. So I did a Google search for the castle. And close by to where all of this is happening, there's the Magic Castle Hotel, there's the Magic Castle Museum, there's some torture museum, there's all sorts of things here. So I've been trying to rack my brains around or try to get more information, but I kept on getting the castle as like, where is Hannah, the castle? And I will say I received the castle before the announcement about the November 12 sighting at the ticket counter here. Okay. So, what is this castle? The castle. So I haven't got any more on it since. And this is what I find very weird. But my biggest concern remains, there's a fingerprint on her arrival that matches the fingerprint on her father's passing here. And that is no coincidence. We see the following day. I'm not buying this bullshit. 26/8 is the staging. Why would there be, now we're looking at Ryan's case, why now the day after, in the real, why would there be a plus 44/8 here? Or a 44/8, beg your pardon. 44/8 speaks about a master plan, master design, but it also brings in a level of sophistication. Even in the November the 24th, look at, here's that number again, 4610-1. 4610-1, motherfuckers. 4610-1, bop, 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 bop. The day before Ryan's event day, hidden in the +3, 3710-1, hidden. Why would the same operational numbers, so let me just answer what could be an important question you may have, and of course there's 100 questions. Why would there be matches? Would it not mean, for example, because he is suffering and feeling what his daughter would have gone through, it's now reflecting in his chart? That is not necessarily the case. We must remember, he goes through his own experience. He cannot know for 1 minute what Hannah was going through. Yes, we can all imagine. He must have thought about 1,000 things, right? Unfortunately, when parents are in this situation. But the point I'm getting to is when you tap into someone's timeline, we're not tapping necessarily into Ryan's timeline, but the master timeline is Hannah's. If you go your different levels of inception, Now, this means the alleged attack on Ryan to bring him to whatever situation, murdered him, threw him over the parking lot, bears the same fingerprint that was involved in Hannah's situation when she arrived in LAX. It's the same people. So what this effectively says, what we're hearing is bullshit here. Now I'm being led to this picture that I wanted to talk about. I mean, there's a lot of things, right, that are still unanswered. Now, this is supposedly Hannah here, right? So we see she's wearing the same shoes, she looks the same, everything looks the same, right? When we look at two other photographs of her with this bag, we see in the right hand, you know, if she was always using her right hand, why is the bag on the left hand side? Or is this picture flipped, but the passport seems to be in the right order? Or is that just an odd thing? Let me say something here. Hannah is a very in control person. Here is a 12.3, in particular the 39.12.3, it's like maximum control again. Now we'll go through, there's a sequence of days I wanted to look at here. That I believe when she gets into Mexico, yes, here. If they're saying November 12, 2024 is when she enters Mexico, we see she is definitely with someone familiar and a 15.6 male companion. However, she has fallen into some kind of bullshitness here, because the day she enters, as far as the narrative goes, what do we see? Another fingerprint here. 17.8 plus 8, 34.7, 25.7, 16.7.7. The same fingerprint in the +3. Let me just put this here for the visual people. Now we have a set of fingerprints on 3 separate occasions. Occasion 1, event 1, Hannah arrives in LAX. First fingerprint, here's it here. And there's a 15.6 there. Second fingerprint is the day Hannah's father passes. Same fingerprint, same. And the +3 reveals now the alleged, which is this day here. Yes, there it is. Beg your pardon. This is the Greyhound numbers here. 7 in the +3, same zone, 17.8.8, 34.7, 25.16.7. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call, and I'm just looking for that number, it's with Ryan, a well-orchestrated 44.8. This is next level operations, 46 10-1s. Look at all these 10-1s. It's now let's look at the numbers. Now I pointed out just, I mean, you know, And the reason why I say this is important, let me explain myself. It's not a random thing. She's got 4s. And 4s are very methodical, but there's one thing that they keep doing. They always do the same thing. They always do the same thing. So the time that she goes to this ticket office, let's see what the numbers say. Now already in the 6:30, it's going to be on this cusp here. So it's sitting kind of, we're in the cusp, if you will, of the top line of numbers and the lower numbers here. Okay, that's where 6:30 a.m. is, more or less, right? In the 72-hour scan, we've got this conflict again. There's a conflict, so the conflict carries through. There's something unlawful happening, not voluntary. It's saying unlawful. So if it's not if it's not to break the law, if one just decides to disappear and breaks ties from family, if it's legal, it wouldn't show up as unlawful. But yeah, it's shown up as unlawful. The alleged day, we see a 14.5 here. That's problematic for me. 14.5 is problematic. She's gone. She was with someone familiar. This is very bizarre. So here's the issue here. If we go back to the original chart, and in the real, November 15 is where things go wrong here, in my opinion. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. I definitely believe something's not right here at all. And you'll note the day she enters allegedly Mexico here, it reflects her numbers and all this is what happened to her. There's another person involved here, 15.6. There's a conflict of interests. Something goes very wrong and doesn't end well. It keeps getting reflected. So the fact that she got past November the 12th, good on her. I mean, it's literally the Monday or Tuesday, but I don't believe, or let's put it this way, there is definitely an impression of her expectations weren't matched. But not only that, it's the people on that side, expectations also had an issue. Now, I did look at there was a theory that Hannah had issues at home, particularly maybe an aunt or an older female, and I did see it here. I can see there's a 30 outcome 3 year, which would be the +3 of when she arrived. So there is a 30 outcome. So there must have been some kind of argument, that kind of thing. Because she wouldn't be making an outburst. The stepmom or mom or aunt, whoever it may be, wouldn't be flabbergasted now, because no one would know there's an issue unless you knew Hannah personally directly. There's too many conflicts in this case. So this is what I wanted to raise here as well. Look at the LAPD announcement day, right? Day before and day after in the 72-hour scan. Outcomes of each day, 3, 4, 5. The day she goes missing, November the 12th, or gets on a bus, and the day before and the day after, also 3, 4, 5. Why would this happen? This is like finding the same fingerprint at the crime scene. Why? 44-8. When something is this neat and tidy, operational, it's suppressive, almost military-like, we are so we've got issues, right? So the day she allegedly buys this ticket, right? That day in the +3 years, there's a conflict here. And 17.8 speaks about cover-ups as well. This is why the family said, let's see the footage of her arriving or walking across the border in Mexico. So, what is this castle about? Any insiders know anything about the castle or something around that, the castle? In the energy flow sequence under December 1, 2, 3, the reason why I do this is because when the start of a month, the smaller numbers, it's like a new beginning. So it's smaller, lesser information. So I just run a 72-hour scan underneath from the previous month, which still gives me a sense of flow and information. And we see a 50 outcome 5 year. Now this is sitting with the LAPD, yeah? And 50 outcome 5 speaks about organized crime. It's not the petty thieves, 14-5 gangbangers standing on corners, causing trouble at grocery stores or whatever. This is next level. So 50 outcome 5, to give you an example, you'll see it often in the 27 Club videos with Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. 50 outcome 5, because alongside the FBI and the police and the CIA, the mob were also involved in killing artists. In fact, the mob did the dirty work. There's very big problematic numbers. There was a number, and I was looking for it earlier, which also confirmed for me the issue around voluntary versus controlled. And I'm looking for a particular 29.12.3. It's a 39.12.3, beg your pardon. That was in a particular position. And it was on her charts, man. I might have to cut it out. But I believe Hannah wasn't completely herself here. She may have had expectations, but unfortunately her expectations unfortunately would be dashed. Here it is here. In the +9 of the day before she departs to go to LAX. I beg your pardon, the day before, this is even more significant. I was feeling a bit downbeat because it was before then, but 39.12.3, the day before she buys the ticket, all is revealed. And this here's another sign for me that Hannah is definitely being controlled, yeah? And unfortunately, when you see the numbers 39.12.3, yeah, 39.12.3 and 48.12.3, and she's got it in her chart, and it's preceding the ticket purchase as seen in this photograph, whether real or not. 39.12.3, the day before, that for me is problematic. These are very strong CIA numbers here as well, huh? I mean, we just had that case recently where the mom and the cousin came out from Canada because their daughter was missing, and the husband says, no, she's down in Texas at a retreat. Remember that one? She's a bit of a TV star. And here is another number that is also confirmation that I don't believe Hannah was in free will. 21.3, that is kind of against your will. It's constraint, forced to. Now we're in the +9 when she allegedly buys this ticket. 14.5. Problems here. So for me, the biggest concern, I mean, if we go back to Hannah's numbers, you know, of course, yes, she is 30 or 31. She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. Now, if that was truly the case, there wouldn't be any hoopla around this case. I even saw a video of her aunt saying she's concerned. Yet in another article I'm seeing, she knew she was going to Mexico. Something's not adding up here. This is all a big show. And someone is pulling our strings. So there are too many controlling numbers around here for my liking. And even in the +6 of the so-called November 12 ticket purchase, there's an 11.2 here. So what would be unlawful of her buying a ticket? What would be unlawful? It's been deemed unlawful. And the question I've been asking myself is, will we see Hannah again? So let me just say, from Hannah's numbers point of view, why I don't believe she's done what everyone's saying she's done. There's too many family numbers, and there's too many like feminine numbers. And even though she may be robust with her fours and all that kind of thing, she effectively has a soft center with all of these threes in her +3. And in the +6, all of these sixes here, these are deep, deep connection numbers. And I don't believe for 1 minute, she would lie to her entire family, because the family must also realize, and with all due respect, well, until the press conference, we were in a legal state, right? And if they were withheld in evidence, in other words, if the aunt knows exactly where Hannah is, I mean, that's an illegal offense. So surely one of them would have said something. The fact that her father passed, I can tell you now, with the numbers she has, and I don't know the history, I don't know the past or anything, but with her numbers, she would not keep still for a minute if her biological father committed suicide, allegedly. If she's been held captive, she would have freaked out like you can't believe. These fours and the 24-6 and 22-4 even are big family numbers. This is almost like family comes first. So, was she sold an Alice in Wonderland ticket show? And when she got to the bottom of the rabbit hole, she realized that the very courteous 15-6 guy, there is a guy around, 15-6 turns out to be Mr. Evil, Mr. Evil Deeds. But all hinged or involved on a higher level, operational level there, big time. And this year, this November 12, if we look at the +3, on the day after, it screams again, staging. A 4, it can be boring for some people, but never for 4s, because they have a 4, dominant 4s. They are probably the most routine people. I mean, they'll have their moments, but ultimately they will always do the same thing. That it's always the same with them. So, for example, taking the same route to work 10 times a week won't bother them. Some people will have 3 different routes in the week to get to their work just to create a bit of variety. But 4s, they will do the same thing the whole time. There are too many controlling numbers in this play, and there we have the same fingerprint on the day she buys the ticket. In the reflection, yeah, that's when she buys the ticket. In the alleged suicide of the father, same fingerprint. This is not coincidence. The day she arrives in LAX, he has all the same numbers. And we have a 37-10-1. We have an operation in play, ladies and gentlemen, that, in my opinion, did not meet Hannah's expectations ultimately. You know, what I did was as well, I included earlier on days before she leaves to get a read. So if we look from November the 3rd, and I had started previously from November the 5th, just to get a bit of a read in here. And the day before, November the 2nd, we have this 11-11 issue as well. On November the 4th, the number 4, there brings around an instruction. The instruction is for 15-6. So who is this 15-6? Is it an ex-boyfriend? Is it a new boyfriend? Is it a handler? I mean, ultimately, I believe this 15-6 becomes a handler. So we have 16-7 here. Handle number 16-7. Seems familiar, 15-6. And it starts with a 5. So this 15-6, whatever story she was spun, this guy was leading her on, leading her on, leading her on. And 3 days after this, November 12 is not a good day either. So the day they say she goes into Mexico is not a good day either. And it's confirmed by the +3, it's not a good day. Something is not adding up here by any means, shape or form. What may have been the original idea or whatever she was going to do, and that doesn't include going to New York. I'm saying whatever plan she had when she got into LAX, that plan went wrong, and in my opinion goes from bad to worse. And very suspicious that we have these 37-10-1 numbers here. There are conflicts all over the place here. Conflicts and controlling numbers and not very nice numbers. And I'm still going to say, I don't believe Hannah is fully of herself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and let's remember the castle. I'll keep working on it. This case also doesn't seem to want to let me go. But the castle, there's something here about that as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please leave your thoughts and comments. I don't believe by any means that this is the end of the case. And, we can imagine for a moment, let's say 80% of the world now believe that Hannah is safe and sound and she's gone on her own cognizance, whether she meets up with someone in Mexico or not. But what I'm seeing around here, what happens if she's actually in distress? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep the eye on the news. I'll keep digging. And please stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.